How did we get to a point where we treated other human beings as slaves, and we're okay with that? When I see the Make America Great Again, my comment is, do you accept that that could possibly be construed as a racist remark? And most people, a lot of people go, how could that be racist? Make America great again? I said, so just ask yourself from an African-American experience, when was it ever great in America for the African-American? When was it great? So if you're making it great again, it's not including them. So it's to teach us in the woke world to open up and accept the possibilities that our privilege has created blind spots for us. And maybe I haven't seen what is really happening yet in all my years.
Hello guys, welcome back again to my channel. And of course, if you're watching for the first time, I request this. Please subscribe to this channel and like our videos, share them to as many people as possible. Now, what's your take on the slogan, Make America Great Again, the MAGA? Do you believe it was truly about uplifting the poor and creating jobs for the jobless? Or does it mean something entirely different to you? Please share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your reasoning, because for actor Bryan Cranston, the meaning behind MAGA is something very, very different altogether. Have a listen to this.
How did we get to a point where we treated other human beings as slaves, and we're okay with that? When I see the Make America Great Again, my comment is, do you accept that that could possibly be construed as a racist remark? And most people, a lot of people go, how could that be racist? Make America great again? I said, so just ask yourself from an African-American experience, when was it ever great in America for the African-American? When was it great? So if you're making it great again, it's not including them. So it's to teach us in the woke world to open up and accept the possibilities that our privilege has created blind spots for us.
Now, when Hollywood legend Bryan Cranston speaks, the world tends to listen. But this time, his words didn't just sparkle conversation. They lit a firestorm. In a resurfaced interview, Cranston called out the meaning behind Make America Great, or if you like the MAGA, suggesting that for Black Americans, America has never truly been great due to centuries of segregation, the Jim Crow laws, and systemic oppression. Now, Mr. Bryan's take has gone viral, and the internet has not kept quiet. Let's watch some reactions here. I will be back with my commentary.
And, you know, I'm real sick of hearing people say to make America great again, because that word again means go back to the 50s, which was real good for white men, but wasn't worth a damn for people of color and women. You need to know that, and that's what this fool wants us to do. And when you hear his mentor say, we're going to deconstruct the government, deconstruct the government, take away the things that are valuable for all of us, no, you cannot allow this to happen. You have to realize that deconstruct the government means take away Social Security. And how many people do you know who are making enough money, who could put money away, and we need to fix it now. But first you have to recognize what it is. You have to recognize that racism is ignorance. It is pure, unadulterated ignorance. And I don't care whether you're a red racist, or a white one, or a black one, or a yellow one, or a brown one. If you're a racist, you're not thinking. And you're being ignorant. Get over it.
But I see the Make America Great Again. My comment is, do you accept that that could possibly be construed as a racist remark? When was it ever great in America for the African American?
So Bryan Cranston has stirred up a lot of controversy recently on the internet with an interview highlighting something that a lot of places have studied for some time, talking about how the phrase "Make America Great Again" and other phrases similar tend to highlight the lack of empathy we're always seeing from the right. and their overall consistent inability to step outside of their own experience and acknowledge others. Because at its core, that is what empathy is, the ability to share someone else's feelings or experience by imagining what it would be like to be in that person's situation. Which is kind of the main reason I always say, I have some friends and acquaintances that are kind of on the right, but I would never date someone on the right, because someone who has a lot of empathy is important to me in dating, and cue all of the crying boys who totally don't care in my comments. The phrase itself, "Make America Great Again," perfectly embodies their utter lack of empathy. Because it brings up the great question that they can never seem to answer is, when was America great for absolutely everybody and not just straight white men, is the catch. I mean, African Americans weren't even technically freed until 1869. They couldn't really all even vote, and not even voting safely at this point, till 1870. They're still fighting being able to vote safely and easily to this day. The Civil Rights Act wasn't passed until 1964, not that long ago. Married women weren't even allowed to own their own property or keep their own working wages until 1848. We definitely couldn't even vote until 1920. Even though technically we were supposed to be able to have our own bank accounts in the 60s, many banks would still not allow them to be signed off without a husband. And without a husband, we weren't allowed to own credit cards until 1974. Which is wild when you consider that's close to 10 years off from when my oldest sibling was born. And many of us weren't even allowed to be married legally everywhere until 2015, and they're still fighting that constantly to this day. When you say the phrase "Make America Great Again," who does that include? Because it excludes all women, all people of color, LGBTQ communities. Do you want to do the math on who's left in that equation? Yeah, it's people who have no ability to see outside of their lived experience and understand that America wasn't really ever that amazing for the rest of us.
Make America great again, make America great again. Okay, pinpoint where in history America was great. Tell me what exact time you would like to go back to. Okay, let's go back to 1776 when the Declaration of Independence said that all men were created equal, unless you were a slave, right? Everybody deserved freedom and liberty unless you were black in America, or unless you were a woman if we're being historically accurate. We weren't so great then, were we? Okay, let's fast forward to the Civil War, 1865, when half of our country decided to secede because they did not want to free slaves. And it wasn't like the North necessarily wanted to free slaves either. Abraham Lincoln did not free the slaves because he thought it was morally righteous. He did it because he knew it would hurt the South's economy. And it did, because who was doing the work that was making the Southern states money? Surprise, surprise, the slaves. Or should we go back to the Reconstruction era, when millions of slaves were freed and not given any of the promises that the American government promised them? No 40 acres, no mule, no way to create generational wealth. Were we great then? We were definitely great when the 14th Amendment passed, though, right? When African American men finally got the right to vote and birthright citizenship extended to the descendants of freed slaves. We were great then, right? Because in the South, they weren't still barring African Americans from voting through literacy tests and the grandfather clause, and so many ways that we probably don't even know about. Were we great then? Let us not forget, during this time, 1865 to be exact, is when the KKK became an official organization. We were great then, right? We were amazingly amazing then. Okay, so if we weren't great then we must have been great during the Jim Crow era, right? Our country was amazing after the Plessy v. Ferguson Supreme Court decision. Separate but equal. I know you guys would rather forget this, but your ancestors quite literally made it a crime for African Americans to drink from the same water fountain as white Americans, to go to the same schools, to ride on the same buses. This is less than a fucking 100 years ago. Okay, so if we weren't great in all of those past times, then we must have been great during the Civil Rights era, when the Brown v. Board of Education Supreme Court decision finally stated that segregation was unconstitutional. We were great then. We must have been great then, right? Because there was absolutely no pushback from any white Americans who thought that African Americans did not deserve these freedoms and didn't deserve to be in the same spaces as them. After the Civil Rights era, white Americans and black Americans came together and sung Kumbaya, and there was absolutely no racial injustice anymore, right? I say all of this to say that the slogan, "Make America Great Again," is inherently racist, because absolutely none of the times that I just described, from the birth of our country till now, has our country been great for people of color, for African Americans, for my community at least. It's not even to talk about all the injustices that happened to Latinos and Asian people, Native Americans, but just for us. In all of these years, America has not been great. I'll end this with saying that the KKK still exists in every single state in the United States. Sundown towns still fucking exist. Black people are still being lynched in our country. When were we great? When have we been a country that's been full of love and harmony and rights for everyone? You guys are lying, or you guys are just fucking racist.
Seeing the clip from Jeff Daniels in the newsroom about tell me what's great about America. Fundamentally, that is why we're here as a country. When I hear Make America Great Again, when? Let's review America. Let's look at its greatness, shall we? We started off by genociding the Native Americans by the millions, whose land was rightfully theirs. We just took it from them, and we didn't value their lives. Then we started this country, then we took black people from Africa because we didn't value their lives. Then we forced them to pick our cotton and raise our kids and build our White House and do all the work that white people were too lazy to do. Wow, starting off really great, isn't it? And then we come up with the Constitution in 1787. And we're still waiting for this greatness, right? So the founding fathers that were racist slave owners that owned black people like cattle, great start, right? They designed the country to benefit 21-year-old land-owning white men, and black people were only worth 60% of a white man. And then women didn't have the right to vote, have credit, no-fault divorce. They were also treated as less than the white man. And we said, yay, we're great, we're America, now we're free. Except for everybody except the white man. And black Americans couldn't drink from the same water fountains, sit on a bus, go to church, and on and on and on. Slavery, Jim Crow, Black Wall Street, and all the time, my demographic, we're great, we're great, we're great. Then you fast forward to 2024. And we finally have the opportunity to do something. To show that we're going to progress as a society. Not just the most qualified black woman, but the most qualified candidate in the history of our country. And this country did what it always does. It fell back on the most uneducated, morally bankrupt, foolish, childish, immature plantation owner that wears diapers and orange makeup. Because that's what America wants. We have 11.1% of our population that live in poverty. 14 million children go to school hungry every day. We have over 40,000 people that sadly lose their lives to pew-pew violence because we do nothing about it, because we're such a great country. Our largest employer, Walmart, has 15,000 people that are on public assistance that you and I pay for. We have the most incarcerated prison systems in the entire world. Now, if you're a black man and you're running down the street like Ahmaud Arbery, you got a bunch of white U.S. citizens that think you're stealing something because you're black. And they unalive him. If you're a convicted felon and you abuse women and you try to overturn a free and fair election through an insurrection, you get to be president. If you take a knee and stand for what's right, you're called the son of a bitch and you lose your job. But if you're white and you storm the Capitol and you attack police officers on video and you admit to it in a court of law and you're found guilty by a jury of your peers, you get pardoned because we're such a great country. There's a lot of countries that have freedom. Australia, Belgium, Iceland, Canada, Japan. Lots of countries have freedom. We're $36 trillion in debt because we can't even balance a budget because we're so wasteful as Americans. The story with Adriana Smith really summarizes how broken this country truly is and how little it actually values a life that doesn't look like me. She's a 30-year-old black mother, and she has a little son. When she was 9 weeks pregnant, she got a clot in her brain. And sadly, her brain is no longer functioning. It's awful. I don't know all the details, but she's no longer viable as a functioning person. So the state of Georgia, because they're so pro-life, because of their heartbeat bill, they've turned her into a human incubator, which is morally reprehensible. It's repulsive. It's gross. So for the last 60 days, they've kept her alive to save that infant. And her young son comes by and visits, and he thinks that his mom is sleeping. That is gut-wrenchingly heartbreaking. Because they want to push their agenda to populate more children in this country. But what happens after that is really what America is. They don't care if that family goes into medical debt, files bankruptcy, loses their house, from being forced to leave her daughter on a ventilator. Who knows how long? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more months? Let's just presume the baby makes it somehow without any defects. America doesn't care if that kid has food, if it has a house. It doesn't care if it has health care. It doesn't care if it's unalived in a school due to pew-pew violence. And it sure in the hell doesn't care if it has clean water and clean air. So my question for you, MAGA, what exactly is great about this country? I'll tell you what you think is great. Your whiteness. Your version of white America. Having 800 million American flags? No, that's not great. Having a pet bald eagle? That's not great. Worshipping a flag, praying to it, singing to it? No. See, what you don't realize because you're too ignorant is that that flag to a lot of people, to Asian Americans, to black Americans, to women, to minorities, it's been a symbol of oppression since the inception of this country. That's what you fail to realize because you're too ignorant. That's why we're here. Because you don't care that other people view that flag differently than you. You're insulted when I say America has never been great for everybody. We have to come to terms with that. And if it makes people angry, that's too goddamn bad. I can both appreciate people that served this country and fought for our freedoms and safety. But I can also say in the same breath, it has never been great for everybody. Kicking out trans people who have served in our military for 15 or 18 years while you voted for a little coward-ass bitch that had bone spurs that wears makeup and diapers, there's nothing patriotic about it. Those trans people served this country bravely. And you are cowards for kicking them out. They protected your freedom and my freedom. And that is one more example of why this country isn't great. Because you want to make America white again. You want one thing and one thing alone. Straight white Christian America. But if you commit felonies, if you steal from cancer charities, if you cheat on your wives with a porn star, if you steal top secret documents, if you have dinner with white nationalists, if you insult people, if you make fun of people, if you talk about Hannibal Lecter and electric sharks, as long as you're a white man in your America, that's okay because you want to make America white again.
Baby, if you on food stamps, Medicaid, welfare, Section 8, go get you a job now. Go get you a job that's going to pay you, give you at least 20 hours per week. Now, I don't care where it's at, McDonald's, Burger King, wherever. Go get a job or they're going to cut your benefits. Remember, y'all, I know y'all want this to just blow over, but remember, this administration been in office for only 7 months, and in 7 months they have flipped the White House inside out, okay? The Constitution inside out. Everything that they put down in Project 2025 is being fulfilled. When this administration say they're going to do something, they're doing it. It's not a question of if it's going to happen. It's a question of when it's going to happen. So right now, ICE is diligently working, sweeping the farms. Right now, they're going to the farms and not just getting no criminals or whatever. They're sweeping the farms out for people that's on Medicaid, food stamps, and welfare. You think that when she made that suggestion, oh, we could just suggest that we got so many millions of people on Medicaid, they can go work the farms. It wasn't a suggestion. It's in Project 2025. It is a part of their playbook. This is all a part of their calculated plan. That is why ICE, she said it, and now ICE is sweeping the farms right now as we speak. Go look it up, okay? So, guys, if you are on government benefits, please go get you a job anywhere. Control this. Get you a job anywhere that's paying you 20 hours a week, or they're going to cut your kids' food off, their Medicaid off, whatever you on, their daycare, all that's going to be cut off if you don't get up and go get a job 20 hours a week. They're going to put you on a farm in the hot heat. Y'all not ready for that. Y'all are not ready for that. Okay? So I know y'all want this to blow over. I know y'all want this to just, oh my God, I hope this just go away. I hope somebody, it's not happening. This administration has an agenda. This time they have a playbook. They have a plan. It's called Project 2025. And this is the next drove in the next phase of Project 2025. In 7 months, they've already completed like 3 phases of Project 2025. So we are at the next phase, and the next phase is to go sweep the farms and now put the Medicaid, food stamps, Section 8, all these people that's on the benefits in these farm workings for 20 hours a week. You guys, be safe and be blessed, because now they had Haitians. And they're saying that Haitians need to be self-deport in September. So they're going to start deporting them as well. They need to self-deport now, but they're giving it to September. So that's where we at. This, and trust me, this administration is going off the book. Get your copy of Project 2025.
You know, you fucking cult, you MAGA cult, who anything and everything, the dumbest motherfucker I've ever seen in my 57 years is Donald John Trump. He's truly a dumb, ignorant, arrogant, homophobic, racist, misogynistic, narcissistic, fucking piece of shit, culminated with treason for what he did on January 6th. But I'm gonna shock some of you motherfuckers, you DMMFs, you dumb, maggot motherfuckers who do the fucking most, the fucking least, with 2 teeth and 0 brain cells. I actually want to put America first. I do. I believe, I've said this for years, that we get involved in other countries and other places when we have people starving right here. But see, these are the things that I want to put America first. I want to help undocumented immigrants get a path to citizenship, who have been working in this country, paying taxes, good, productive people, which is the majority of them. Sure, there's some bad seeds, but there's a lot more bad seeds that are Americans. I've never been one to say, don't deport somebody, MS-13, that's constantly getting arrested for chopping off people, killing people, whatever they're getting arrested for, anybody bad. I don't have no problem with that. You'll never hear me say that they should be able to stay in this country. But the people that they're deporting, the majority of them are good people. You people go to church on Sunday. You pray to God. But you're anything but God-like. You're the Antichrist. Then you fly these flags. We live in Northwest Indiana, Debbie and I. We see all these flags. They don't mean what you think they mean, folks. What they mean is, I'm a racist, I'm a misogynistic fucking pig. I'm a homophobe and all the above. Because most of these people that fly the fucking flag, that need to take it down, support Trump. It didn't always used to be like this. I am not somebody that would not talk to a Republican prior to Trump. We could debate. If I knew about the policy, I'd have a strong debate with them. If I didn't, I wouldn't debate. I'd have to research or whatever it was. And if we disagreed, we disagreed. Because we had a different plan for how we should get to a better America. Not this shit. This isn't to get to a better America. This is to get to a white America. And I'm white and I can't stand it. I'm a fucking veteran who gave 20 years and 28 days, raised my hand multiple times and took an oath to the Constitution that Trump and his humps and his cult spit on and drop their fucking drawers and defecate on. And you motherfuckers okay with that? I'm not. This country was never great. It was never great for African Americans. It was never great for women. Yet we have stupid ass women in this country, and they're mostly my color, complexion, Caucasian, that support fucking Donald Trump. I know a lot of you don't, but a lot of you do. And we really believe that you would come out and vote for Kamala Harris for many reasons. And one of them, because she was a strong woman, and I've always said a female president can't fuck this country up any worse than any other president has if you feel like they fucked it up. I think a woman could actually do better. This country can't go back to greatness because it was never great in the first place. But I will say this because I've always said this. We have the potential to be so much better. And our greatest strength is my favorite word in Webster's dictionary. And I know you MAGA motherfuckers at this point, you're heading, now we're passing up a fucking flag with the fucking Trump thing touching the flag. Scumbag motherfucker. We always pass them up on this road, whatever road this is, coming from Valparaiso. My favorite word is diversity. And our greatest fucking strength, you stupid, idiot, racist, inbred, trailer park, one fucking branch on your fucking family tree, 2 teeth, 0 branches, those motherfuckers don't understand that diversity was, is, and always will be our greatest strength. This country will never be great, but we have the potential to be so much better.
So I don't know if you heard about this, but Bryan Cranston recently said that the Make America Great slogan is a racist remark, and conservatives have been losing their minds. But the thing is, of all of the criticisms that I've seen from conservatives, not a single one of them have actually been able to answer his question.
When was it ever great in America for the African American? When was it great? So if you're making it great again, it's not including them.
So yeah, if you want to make America great again, what exactly is this time period of greatness you are referring to? Clearly, anything before the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was obviously worse for black people, and anything in the years directly after that was still probably worse for black people because all of them at that time had spent most of their lives without equal rights. So maybe you're talking about the 80s when the AIDS epidemic was sweeping the nation and disproportionately affecting black people? Or maybe the 90s when the LAPD was live on television beating the crap out of a black person causing riots in Los Angeles? Like, I know that conservatives think systemic racism isn't a thing anymore, but clearly it used to be, so when exactly did it stop? And what point after that do you want to go back to make America great again?
Alright, Americans, we've been dancing around this issue for too long, but it's time to finally put the tiger on the table and yell at it. The core values of American society are a fucked up mix of Calvinist predestination and Puritanism. And through this weird chimera of proto-capitalism and religion, we've somehow come to equate economic success with moral value. Our society assumes that good things happen to good people and that bad things happen to bad people. And in doing so, we've created the assumption that people who live in poverty somehow deserve their poverty through their own laziness or degeneracy. Because America was never designed with community values in mind. It was designed around individual aggrandizement through the acquisition of capital. So we've made money equal morality, and anyone who doesn't have money is immoral. And because we've so heavily weighted the rights of the individual above the welfare of the community, any attempts to discuss this issue get shouted down as socialist propaganda. Compassion has never been a core American value, and that's deeply disappointing.
Are we having fun yet? Cubans for Trump, baby. Make America Great Again, Part 5. Y'all, it's real wild what's happening with the Supreme Court and how they are removing protected status for over 500,000 Cubans and other immigrants. But it's always been wild, and even wilder during this presidency, to see those very immigrants proudly back Trump. But now, realizing, baby, he's coming for you too. Let's talk about it. Because what they thought was they were going to play a game of eeny, meeny, miny, mo and pick and choose some immigrants. But I guess not them. Because, baby, they was cheering loud. And, y'all, I've been thinking about this for a long time. How so many immigrants of color come to the United States and quickly align themselves with whiteness. Many looking down on Black Americans, buying into the same tired stereotype that we're lazy, criminals, a burden, dangerous. And, baby, they can't wait to use the N-word. They're taught to see us as the problem, or worse, the enemy. But what they don't see, or what they refuse to see, is the real enemy is the systems you're cozying up to the white supremacist structures that they think will protect them. These are the same ones that view all of us as disposable when convenient. And here's the hard truth. The only reason that these immigrant protections even exist, the only reason they had the privilege to come here and build new lives, is because of Black civil rights advocacy. Period. It was Black Americans who fought, who were hosed down, bled, and died to dismantle unjust laws and push for equality. Not just for ourselves, but for everyone that came after us. Every opportunity they've had, the right to work, the right to go to school, to stay in this country, rests on the backs of Black struggle and resistance. Yet too many of them forget. Too many ignore history. The very history that gave them access to the very systems that are now turning on them. It's a deep betrayal, not just of us, but of justice itself. And baby, while I feel for them, you were warned. These same immigrants, happy to align themselves with whiteness, vote for politicians who harm them and turn their backs on us. Us, the people whose struggle made it possible for their opportunities. Now when deportations are happening left and right, they're realizing whiteness don't love you either, baby. You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and led astray. I don't know how many times I need to say this. There is no protection in aligning yourself with whiteness. There's no protection in turning your back on the very Black folk who paved the way, who fought and bled for the rights you enjoy. Because when things get real, and baby, they get real, you'll find yourself alone. The same white supremacists that they cozied up to, they'll turn on you without hesitation. And here's what's even more heartbreaking. You thought you were protecting yourself by siding with them, by distancing yourself from us, by playing the respectability game. But baby, the game was rigged from the start. You were never meant to win, and you never were going to. And now, as you watch deportations, the removals, the betrayals, as you hide in fear, not knowing if you or your family is next, baby, you're seeing it in real time. The panic is setting in. The illusion, it's shattering. And the truth you tried to ignore is now knocking at your door. As Black Americans, we've always fought for justice, for everyone. We know how it feels to be treated unjustly. But let me be clear, we're done putting ourselves on the line for those who won't even stand with us. This time, you're going to have to figure it out for yourself. Happy Black History 365. And I'll see you next time.
Bryan Cranston is not a stranger to the spotlight. Cranston has built a reputation as one of America's most respected actors. But beyond the screen, he's also been outspoken on politics and social issues. And this latest clip proves just how controversial his voice can be. When Trump introduced MAGA during his campaign in 2016, he framed it as a vision of restoring the US to a period of perceived strength, prosperity, and the global dominance. The idea suggests that America was great at some point, but lost that greatness along the way. But Bryan Cranston challenges the MAGA slogan by saying this: when you say make America great again, the question is, great for who? For all Americans, for the Black Americans, for the white Americans, or for who? I'm sure Trump meant for the white Americans, because for sure, there was no prosperity, freedom, and opportunity for the Black people. Because for the black Americans, those so-called good old days meant segregation, meant Jim Crow laws and systemic racism. So when you say you want to go back to that or to those days, you are trying to ignore the pain and the oppression that was very real for the millions of people or for the millions of the Americans. For nearly 250 years, black Americans or black people were enslaved, treated as property, stripped of their rights, and denied basic humanity. During this time, there was no enjoyment of being an American. It was a life of forced labor, violence, and systemic dehumanization. Now, after emancipation, black Americans gained freedom but faced the new barriers, which are the segregation, lynchings, voter suppression, and systemic inequality. Even in the face of oppression, black communities build schools, they build businesses, they build their churches and cultural institutions, showing reliance and pride in identity. Being American was often a contradiction because black people contributed to building the nation while being excluded from its promises. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Rosa Parks fought for equal rights. And landmark changes came. The Civil Rights Act of the year 1964, Voting Rights of the year 1965, and desegregation. Black Americans gained greater access to opportunities, but racism and inequality didn't disappear. Black Americans have made massive contribution in politics, in culture, in business, in sports, and even beyond, the Barack Obama's presidency being a historic milestone that black people have made in America. Yet, systemic racism and mass incarceration, police brutality, and economic inequality still affect the black communities. Movements like Black Lives Matter show the ongoing struggle that black people are still struggling with in America. So the question is, how did Americans or black Americans enjoy being Americans? From what I've just said, have you heard or seen where black Americans have enjoyed being part of America? Not in the sense of equal access to freedom or safety and prosperity across the history. Because you can see the past is filled with oppression and denial of rights. But many have taken pride in shaping American culture, the values and progress. From music and art to science and politics, black Americans have deeply influenced what America is today. It's a story of resilience, finding joy, building community, and creating culture even when America didn't live up to its ideals. Now, following the comments from this video of Bryan Cranston, supporters say Cranston hit the nail on the head by exposing how nostalgic slogan often erase Americans' darker history. Critics, however, accuses him of labeling half the country as racist and twisting the meaning of political campaign message, which is the MAGA. And the social media, some are applauding him as so brave, while others are demanding that he should stick to acting and stop preaching politics because he's not a politician. So Bryan Cranston really says MAGA is a racist word. Not exactly, but he is arguing that the slogan ignores the struggle of the black Americans and paints an unrealistic picture of a past that wasn't equal for everyone. And with that, he's pushed the national conversation into even sharper focus. When he talks about making America great, whose America are we really talking about? Is it the America under Donald Trump? Please talk to me in the comment section. And of course, if you love this video and feel this video is so much of informative and educational to you, please subscribe. This video is basically for reaction purposes, and we are not here to contradict someone or to paint a negative or bad picture of America as a country, but to teach and educate and also to entertain. I think that's clear. So do not mistake our videos. We're only here to learn and also entertain our followers. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and let's meet again in my next video. This is your guy, Fred, from the motherland.